You're listening to Contesting Wrestling, Minisode 30. If you're a new listener, these minisodes are where we reflect on the past week's episodes, make any corrections that we need to, talk about anything that's currently happening. Our other episodes sort of take place outside of our normal understanding of space-time, whereas these minisodes, you know, it's about what's going on right now. And I'll say, before we get started, before anybody has anything to add, listeners, it's a dark day. It's a grim day for me, because in the name of consistency, in the name of intellectual consistency, in the name of this podcast and the rules that I have agreed to, I have to say that you guys have won. At least round one. We'll think of what the goals are. Okay, so season 1 of Contesting Wrestling.
I think you've already conceded round 1.
No, but I for real conceded. I for real did it this time. Maybe other times it was like I would watch a little bit or something like that. So yeah, season 1 of Contesting Wrestling is done. We're now in season 2, which I'll think of the new goal, because I chose to rewatch the Pac Orange Cassidy match.
Yeah.
Just because I liked it, and I was like, I would like to watch it again. There was no reason for me to do it, and I did it.
Just for your own amusement.
Premium listeners, look forward to that next week, to our
Yep.
discussion of that match as the premium episode that's coming out.
Awesome.
Next
Very good, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful match.
It is. I enjoyed it more the second time.
Orange Cassidy's a great character.
Awesome.
Pac is incredible. And I'm glad that those guys have a venue with which to display their talents.
They will once lockdown ends. I mean, Orange Cassidy's been showing up on AEW every
I
week,
believe
but I
Pac is
think
stuck in
Pac
England,
is
yes.
stuck in England.
That is, of course, in reference to episodes that have not come out yet. This week we're talking about what the hell came out this week? The Hell in a Cell?
What the hell, indeed. Hell in a Cell, which I'm officially saying is not technically part of the Mick Foley series.
Just a Hell in a Cell.
I actually changed the name in Transistor.
Whoa. A coup is being staged. No, that's
this is part of like my wrestling brain where I'm like, well, you know, we have 2 episodes. We've only had wrestlers have only gotten 2 episodes so far. There's 3 of them: Foley, Chris Jericho, and Hulk Hogan. And you know, it'll be a big deal.
That is a
if
wrestling
we give
brain
someone
thing.
3 episodes.
Fair.
But that hasn't really happened yet. You know.
That's fair. Yeah,
So-
I don't even know who would.
Maybe
Ric
Ric
Flair
Flair.
that would
We could.
constitute 3.
There's a few people we could do.
Daniel Bryan.
Whoa.
I don't want to watch 3 episodes worth of Ric Flair
Brian,
matches.
I would do, and it's really 6 because it's 3 regular and then 3
Yes.
premium.
Oh, I know what kind of time commitment.
And then actually 9 because we're talking about him on the minisode.
Yeah.
I would
He is
do it
pretty
for Bryan
incredible.
Danielson, but he's my favorite wrestler of all time. So I do it for Bret Hart too, but that probably wouldn't work, especially because we've already done so many Bret Hart matches.
I got something here that the last weekend I was in a Zoom meeting, much like we are recording now, but I was with several of the people from Extremely Serious Wrestling, not Extreme Championship Wrestling. We're watching this ECW stuff.
Wow, I didn't realize that you had traveled back in time.
No, I was with the Zoom people. No, with Extremely Serious Wrestling, and there's 2 people who are on that Zoom that are patrons of this podcast that were giving me some crap for not shouting out who they were. So, in wrestling fashion, I will say that thank you to Ref Devin, and our cohort. Katie Vela is not here right now, but she always has a lot to say about Ref Devin and our friend Andrew Abs, Andrew's Better Body System, who has a wonderful gimmick where he is a
fantastic.
I
big guy
realize
with a bunch of abs.
he trained with Johnny
And,
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a Johnny guy, 100%. He is a Johnny guy. So the both of you, thank you very much for supporting us. I look forward to seeing you in person when appropriate.
Sorry,
you got to
I'm
keep
sorry
those
we
abs
had
up,
missed you.
abs.
We are still not professionals when it comes to
Yeah.
this. We're becoming professionals, but
We're We're
Yeah.
working on it. We're more professional than we used to be, but Evan's right. This is despite the fact that we record so much, and we're 30 weeks in or so now, so that's great. But it's still very much a work in progress. We are learning as we're going along. But
Yeah,
thank you for
seriously,
supporting the show, and to all of our great patrons. And, and if anybody else wants to be our patron, just to get it out of the way, kind of short, for $1 a month, you get all of our episodes as soon as they're edited instead of on our schedule, so you get some extra stuff quickly. And for $5 a month, you get a whole extra episode every week. We record an entire extra episode every week and just release it to our Patreon members. We put as much effort into those episodes as we do these, so if you like us a lot, go to patreon.com/contestingwrestling and do your thing.
I only have a couple things about the actual Hell in a Cell episode. I didn't realize, I don't know where I heard, I think maybe watching the Undertaker's Last Ride series, the first episode of which just came out, which is like the behind the curtain, expose sort of, well, I don't know if expose, but the first kind of out of character, like shoot style treatment of the Undertaker, which is extremely compelling. But I don't know if it was there or somewhere
Biggest
else.
surprise, he's alive.
Right.
Right.
He went into the Hell in a Cell match against Mick Foley with a broken foot. His foot was already broken before that match started, and then had to climb the fucking cell. So we talked a lot about Foley being so hardcore in there, but Undertaker's a tough motherfucker as well, and demonstrated it in that match.
Oh, of course. He got, he worked the gimmick very well, but he got respect over the years from everybody in wrestling for being so tough, for wrestling through injuries and not really complaining about it. The time he broke his orbital bone and they just put a mask on his face and he kept wrestling and made that cool. I say he broke his orbital bone. Mabel broke his orbital bone. But that's another story entirely.
They didn't think orbital bone was something that the audience could really understand, so they just kind of talked about his broken face.
He
broke the Undertaker's face.
It sounded a lot cooler that they put it like that. They broke his face. I don't want to break my face. Of all the things to break on me, face is in the bottom three. Yeah. I picture the cover of Vulgar Display of Power, Just
Speaking of being tough, you pointed out that at the end when they start to take Mankind out on a stretcher, and then he gets up, he's like, I didn't want to be on a stretcher twice in one match or whatever. And I wonder if that went into the thinking behind not having Roman Reigns get stretchered out at the 2016 Royal Rumble. But of course, Foley looked fucking hardcore for walking out on his own power after all that shit happened at the end of all of it. Whereas Roman just looked like a fucking wimp.
They messed it up. They completely messed it up. I don't think we mentioned in the episode, so the whole thing with the Hell in a Cell match was that Foley kept getting up and kept doing his extra spots. And correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't mention he then does a run-in in the main event, right?
Oh, I don't remember. Did he?
Yeah, he does a run-in on the main event in the Austin match. All of that.
Who's Austin wrestling?
I watched it and I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say Kane. I can look it up if you want to
That's fucking crazy.
Cut a minute of this out. I'll look it up properly.
Well, I have something to say while you're looking it up, because I didn't finish the thing about Roman. One of the problems with WWE these days is they don't let people look vulnerable. They don't let their faces look vulnerable. Take him out on the stretcher. It's okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be, Superman the whole match. It looks better if you take him out and he's vulnerable, and then he gets up. I don't know.
Right. The main event was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane. The first blood match for the WWF Championship. This is when Kane wins the title. Okay. It was very notable because Austin had only been champion a couple of months, then Kane beat him. Of course, Austin win the title back on Raw the next night. But yeah, it was the next match on the show, and Mankind came out again to interfere. And all messed up.
Did he take another bump there?
I believe he took the stunner. Because what else would he do? Yeah, almost a bump. His own bump for a change. So that's how tough Foley was. He was too tough. And people say that, but no, Foley was too tough. He shouldn't have done a lot of that. And I think he'd acknowledge that now, but he certainly got people's attention.
It ain't no butter knife Sanchez, though.
No, he ain't no butter knife Sanchez.
I had to say that again.
That was good.
It cracked me up listening back to the episode.
What? Oh,
Evan,
yes.
do you even remember
okay.
that was your
I
line?
do remember.
Yeah, we were talking about Razor Ramon, and he's like, he's no butter knife Sanchez.
The fake Razor Ramon.
You listen to these again. I
Yeah.
I edit them, so I have to spend hours with
Right.
each episode, and then and then it's gone. It leaves my brain. There are times when I finish editing it,
Yeah.
and in the 8 minutes between finishing it and then finally uploading it to Transistor and writing a description, I've completely forgotten everything that we talked about in the episode.
Yeah, I showed the both of you independently that video, A History of the World, more or less, by Bill Wirtz. And by now that video has like 80 million views. And I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and it's by people who've watched the video over and over again. And they're like, well, what do you think could have happened here? Like, what do you think when you rewatch this? And he's just like, I haven't watched it since I uploaded it. I spent an entire year packing everything I could into that video.
Oh, yeah.
And all I can think of when I see it was, man, if I had another 4 months, I could have done so much better. So he doesn't watch it. He has been gone from YouTube for a year. His fans are suspecting he has another big one coming, but we will see.
It's definitely been a process for
Yeah.
me with this podcast to be less of a perfectionist and not worry so much if something was missing. At some point
we're
or-
not doing a complete historical retrospective of everything. We're presenting stuff to Evan, giving a little background for anybody who might not know, and then see how it reacts.
It's hard to find. It's hard to find the line between.
Yeah.
Because podcasts are a bit more of a throwaway than other things, or they're more of like a single use
Right.
thing.
It's like a radio show.
And it's hard to find because you don't want to just completely not give a fuck, and you still have to care a little bit. Like I don't know, a lot of times when I'm editing, I worry that I'm being too meticulous about it. Because it's just, it can be sort of frustrating, take a long time. But then I listen back to it, and it's so much smoother than it would be if I had just put it up. And I listen to some podcasts, and I'm just like, you guys couldn't fucking move this around. You guys
Right.
couldn't chop any of this out. So.
I want to say a couple more things about our listeners,
Yeah.
actually. So first of all, we got a listen from Turkey.
Yeah, we
I
did.
think
You
mentioned,
we can see
Doc,
that
at
on
some point.
Transistor, which is cool.
That is my cousin William, who works for the U.S. State
Oh, cool.
Department in Ankara.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Hi there.
And he listened to an episode. He really liked it. Yeah. So we have someone not only in Turkey, but in the federal government
All right.
listening to this
Excellent. So these are our demands.
Ben's cousin, who we want to explicitly state is a spy. So, the hell is metaphorical, right?
That's in the cell.
It's like what's going on in the cell is so bad it is similar to the biblical conception of hell.
I mean, that depends on how you interpret
Ah.
the Bible, because is it ever really supposed to be literal, or is it really just hell in the Bible is just a metaphor for great suffering in life?
I think it just rhymed.
This has been
I
contesting
always
wrestling.
wondered why they didn't just call it the hell cell.
The hell
Why
cell?
did it have to be
hell cell doesn't flow.
No, that sounds
Hell in a
bad. That's an
cell.
unpleasant
Hell in a
sound.
cell. That sounds a lot better. But yeah, it just rhymes. I remember I heard a thing where somebody asked Andy Warhol once what the point of his latest modern art masterpiece was, and Warhol said, "Oh, it's for decoration," and that was all he would say about it. And it's like that makes you think about the nature of art.
It takes more than that to make me think.
This has been Contesting Wrestling, Minisode 30. I can't believe we've made 30 of these already, especially since we started this in 2019, which was
A million years ago.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So 1,000 million years
Man,
ago.
remember when we thought that year was bad?
Oh man, yeah. It's just gonna keep happening. We're on the Star Trek
We
timeline.
are.
We straight up are. It's fucked up. So
Ever since
follow
Bowie
us on
died.
Twitter at ContestingW. Say things to us there, if you so desire. Things that we got wrong. Things you want to hear about. check us out on Patreon. And oh wait, we did that already.
did.
It's great. Well, I'm not gonna do it again. But yeah, thank you. Well, get ready on Monday for an episode that I'm extremely excited about. That now, in retrospect, actually is our perfect first episode of season 2.
Yeah.
So on the next minisode, I will announce the new guidelines for victory.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. This has been Contesting Wrestling. Thank you.
Peace.
We love you.